We're back
We're back, buddy.
with opinions.
Opinions. As far as the eye can see.
Exactly. Today, we're diving into a few controversial B2B content categories. Big hitters.
Big hitters.
So,
Let's hear it.
can I say that social media management is completely dead?
Yeah. I mean, it's thin. It feels like a lot of it has become, as you and I were talking a little bit before, that's just about management, not really adapting to what your personal brand or business is trying to do. Especially if you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or something, somebody that's very front facing. Yeah, this is my thing that I'm doing. This is my grapple grommet or whatever that I'm creating. That's becomes like a serious consideration.
Yeah, so what inspired this was thinking about how I started in content and B2B content, which was trying to become a social media manager. So I can fully air out all of the bullshit that's involved in social media management because I did it, right? And I've done it for myself, our company, I've done it for other companies. That's kind of how I got started a little bit. But the reality is this: social media managers are not there to deliver results.
Yeah.
Right? They're there to coordinate and manage.
Organize.
Yeah. And that's what they're really good at.
I have a broad goal that I want to reach, or this is kind of what I want to do, and we're going to basically put all of your resources in the appropriate places to see if we can do this. But we're not building off of what really you want to do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
collaborating.
Exactly.
I guess you could
they're
say.
They're not really
word.
creating, to be honest. Like they are creating, but they're not creating the same way somebody with the topical expertise would be able to, right? So the social media manager replaces having no social media management. It doesn't replace topical expertise. Let's say that in English, which is you need somebody, doesn't have to be the founder. I think in a lot of cases, it almost shouldn't be the founder because they have to run the company.
Yeah.
But it has to be somebody who has in-depth knowledge, experience, and understanding of the industry or the tactical side or the implementation.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what the company is, and we see this with our clients. Law firm, for example, right? The law firm is supposed to be specialized in what they do.
The law. For all my Dredd fans out there.
Boom.
For all my Judge Dredd fans out there.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The law. But they need to focus on the law, as
100%.
you're saying.
Yeah, no doubt. And social media management is not supposed to be anything other than that.
Yes, just managing.
Exactly. And you need somebody to do that, right? But here's two things.
And not creating, right? That's the big part, is they're not going to help or collaborate with you, right? That they're just going to... Yes. They're going to just they're going to deploy the strategy that maybe you have given them rather than working on that strategy.
You gave them an order.
Yes.
Then they'll fulfill it.
Which is good, and it could be bad too. If you're looking for more iteration, that's not what you want.
Here's
but
what
if
your
you have
social
an
media,
idea, yeah, for sure.
Here's what your B2B company, here's what your social media manager should be doing. Learning how to use AI to make their job easier or better, or in other ways, the way we use it, which is to come up with extra ideas, right? Number two, it's how can we create more efficiency in our social media management, right? They're not on the hook for lead generation, results based on content, having the tactical expertise like I was just talking about. So it's not a war on social media management. Like I always say, it's not a war on text posts, right? You still need it. It's not a war on social media managers. We still need them, right? Now, our company, we've designed it so we don't need one. Will we have one eventually? Yeah, maybe. But in this case, for our content, end to end, we don't need that, right? Now, what we do need and what companies do 100% need, I wouldn't put the cart before the horse. I wouldn't have somebody manage social if you don't have a way to incorporate topical, tactical, philosophical, or educational content, right? So what I would do is I would start with number one and number two. Number one is creation. Again, the manager's not on the hook for that. That's going to be the founder. When I say creation, I mean this podcast, right? I mean actual recording. I'm the founder, and I'm also creating the content. Number 2, you need curation. That's where Jack can come in, because Jack can look at a 45-minute, hour-long, doesn't matter, episode, and because you're a curator, you can take our clients' podcasts and tell them, hey, this is a good clippable moment. I actually would leave this out. I would use this for a blog. Exactly. I would use this for a clip. You're the curator, right? And so those are the 2 things that B2B companies can rely on to have to start having, which most of them don't, predictable social media results. It doesn't come from managing posts. It doesn't come from the copy that ChatGPT can create. It doesn't come from scheduling stuff. It doesn't come from announcements or accolades. It comes from, number 1, creation, which is the person who knows what the hell they're talking about, actually talking about it on camera, and then finding a way to put that on social. And then number 2, the finding a way to put that on social, that's having somebody who can curate. Your social media manager can do that only if you train them how to do that, right? There are people who are marketing experts. It doesn't mean they know which clips to pull from the podcast, right? That's marketing experts span the spectrum. Some of them are design oriented. Some of them are direct response. Some of them are organic social. So we can't rely on them to know how to do 50 different marketing jobs. But what we can do is look at, if you had to pull, which this is what's going to happen, by the way, in the next 3 to 5 years, already predict the future on this. Companies are going to be laying off, companies are going to be retaining and paying more for people who are really good at what they do. There's going to be a lot of fat cutting in that. And what I mean by that is there's 2 ways an organization.
So maybe real quick,
Perfect.
Less coordinators and more specialists, right? Like less overseers and people that are going to, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that'll lead perfectly to where we're about to go.
Yeah.
I'll end this section on this tangent, which is in the next 3 to 5 years, we have a labor shortage. There's a lot more to go into there, but basically what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot. You're going to have to cut the waste. And there's 2 types of waste: managerial waste and marketing waste. There's other wastes, but those are the 2 big ones. The managerial waste, right, is just managers who aren't really contributing much. I'm saying outside of marketing, in terms of they're just coordinating people and they can be removed, right? Or maybe they're even project managers, right? And then number 2, you have the marketing waste, which is that social media management. Somebody who's just doing captions and scheduling. I would shift more. I would rather bring in somebody and pay them $70,000 to $100,000 a year. I would rather bring in a company like us or a vendor, right, who can specialize and get you results with one thing, rather than having this social media manager, quote unquote, who is a generalist. And to your point, Jack, yes, that is the antidote to boring, basic, and non-results based content. Is specialist. That's the antidote.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody knows if you have a LinkedIn that's worth its salt, right? You've had somebody that's hit you up and telling you that they can, if you have a podcast, they can get more downloads for you. If you have a personal brand that you're trying to blow up, they can do this, and that to help you out. These people aren't going to take what you're actually doing, your personal brand, your business. They'll be able to take direction from you, which takes time because you're going to have to manage them, but they're not going to collaborate with you. And I think that's the big thing where, look.
Yeah, you're
right. So we're not
same way a vendor could, an outside company could come in and really and cut out anything that's not collaborating to create a better version of what you're doing now.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's people that can come in and they can take tasks off your hands that is going to get you time back. And that is undeniable. You know, that's something that,
no doubt,
for sure. You know, and if you have, and I think really the big distinction there is if you have a very clear idea of what your personal brand is, where your business is going. If you're one of those founders that it is, you're uncomfortable if you're not on the cutting edge of your own personal brand, then those managers are probably going to drive you insane. If you have and look, it's not like anything is better or worse, but if you have
just different.
like a brand identity, maybe that like or even a, like, an organization that's bigger, right? And it's less about raising awareness, right, in that sort of almost manic phase. Then yeah, maybe management is going to be more your style. But really, it's making that big distinction between, like, look, the next level for most people, they say, is to get a VA, to get somebody to manage your socials or whatever. And look, if you have a very, very firm grip on your personal brand, and what you want to do with your business and brand and all that, and you're like, hey, look, I've got all these posts and I want you to handle posting it and distributing my podcast and stuff like that, then, who are we to say that's not, that's a perfect marriage. But if somebody's looking for that brand manager to come in and shake it up and give you some new ideas and break into some new demos and say, hey, maybe you're somebody that helps people find extra time, right? Maybe you could break into this demo because I feel like lawyers don't have a lot of time, and maybe they could leverage a master's degree or something like that to, get a better position or something like that. So they're not going to, typically from what we've seen anecdotally, you don't see a lot of that iteration, them offering ideas that's not really offered as part of the services. It's more sort of like, if you give me what you already want to post, then I will be able to execute that for you, which again is cool in some certain circumstances. That works completely fine, right? But if you're looking to really iterate and really like kind of shake stuff up, really kind of get a new crowd, raise some awareness, that manager's not going to do it for you. Which is a long way to say that, but
no, those are all of the details. I mean, this is what nobody's talking about. This, I don't know anybody who's talking about, hey, maybe the traditional social media manager is kind of outdated.
That's right? The next level, right? Is like, you've gotten so many inbound or outbound LinkedIn messaging or some sort of communication through email, newsletter, whatever it is, that you need somebody else to manage it for you. And then, that's where you tell your friends, like, I have an assistant, right?
That's such a great
point. So they look at the
point.
next level, but what really is the value? Like, obviously, on the surface, for sure, there's going to be somebody that's going to be able to execute tasks that are annoying, that are a bit redundant, right?
Two different,
but what are you looking for, right? Like, so like if you have a bunch of inbound leads that are very qualified, right, and you're closing at 70 or 80%, a manager sounds pretty good because you've got your messaging right, you've got your demo right, you're hitting the right people. So you need someone to help you organize it and sort through these people and see who's good and who's not. But if you're still trying to figure out who you're reaching, and you're still trying to, maybe you have just started a podcast and you're a financial advisor and you don't know who you could really, really help, who your niche could be, that social media manager is not going to be a person that's going to say, hey, maybe look at this demo, maybe look at that demo. Just in our experience,
and they're overwhelmed too. That's the real reason why they also can't do it.
Or a manager, or even like a coordinator, right?
Yeah.
So like, they'll have to create posts on multiple platforms. You're talking about engagement. You're talking about basic levels of customer service too.
No doubt. Comments,
right?
DMs,
comments, DMs, all that stuff. Like social media management really on. Like when you look at the basic definition of what it should encapsulate, it's insane. Like there's really, it's really
you're right,
not,
you're right.
it's really not something that any person could do. Like,
no, you're right.
If it was some crazy, like maybe Google or or some gigantic corporation, you could understand the duties being very far-reaching and all that stuff. But it's got a bit overgrown in terms of everything a social media manager or coordinator should cover.
And there's a reason why, though, and in you saying that, I came to this realization about social media managers, which is there's two different types of need. For the most part, the social media manager is brought in because of pain, which is we don't have time to do this.
Yeah, it's usually the pain point is it's so annoying to have to go through XYZ repetitive task.
Yes.
You know, and I need
and the
you
founder
to,
is not again. The founder gets to a point where whether they're a control freak or they just have a knack for marketing, no matter what, or they don't have a knack for marketing. Either way, whatever the scenario is, where they go, I can't be in charge of this.
Yeah.
Right. The second, why you would want to bring in a vendor, right? Somebody with a specific expertise, whether that's short form video, for us it's podcasting, YouTube style videos, medium form, everything down to the content and the copy, or maybe it's a sales training vendor, or no matter what. The key, the purpose of bringing in a vendor is not pain. It's obviously some pain, but it's growth, right? So we bring in a social media manager because we don't have time. It's all that pain of like, no, we have to post, but we don't have the resources. The other end, the companies that we work with, they got that covered, right? Like they've figured out, like either we're investing in social right now or we're not, but we're going to bring in a vendor to help us grow, to help us create a bigger brand, to help us create media, not just posts. And so it's two different scenarios, right? So that's why once you solve that pain point with a social media manager, for the most part, now you can look at, okay, now how do we grow? It's not the social media manager's job to grow. Now you're supposed to bring in the people if you don't have a CMO, right? If you bring in a CMO, you can bring in vendors for the CMO. We work with CMOs all the time, right? So it doesn't matter what scale or size you're at, as much as it is how do we want to grow, where do we want to grow, and our clients want to grow in the media. They want to grow in the podcasting, the medium form, the YouTube. They want to expand beyond text. They want to expand beyond LinkedIn. And so they'll bring us in to help change / grow / become strategic about these specific things. Whereas if you're hiring a social media manager, you're probably just strapped, right? You're not even thinking about growth. You're just thinking about, let's just get boots on the ground before we think about
You're thinking
charging.
about how can I free up the next, hour and a half that I spend on LinkedIn responding to comments, engaging.
And I was going to say too,
all of the necessary steps that you need to take to keep the algorithm humming.
Yep.
And there is a market for social media managers that simply execute tasks.
I was going to say
For
almost
sure.
VA territory, though, is
Absolutely.
we're getting to the point where a lot of
It's all VA
you really
territory.
need what it would be is a creator / curator, which if it's a marketing based founder or a CMO could be them, and then you have a marketing assistant. Where what we're seeing here is the opposite. It used to be the social media manager was the almost like a lower level job.
Yeah.
Now that's a higher level job, but
Now it's ascended.
Now it's ascended, but also the VAs have become marketing experts. And I'm not saying in a bad way. Some of them obviously don't know what they're talking about, but some of them are really good. So there's a relationship here where you have a vendor like us, anywhere 2, 3, 5, 10,000 a month or whatever, still cheaper than hiring a person at the same capacity, and you're getting a team, and then you have a marketing manager or even a marketing assistant to work alongside us, and we'll train them and help them. Okay, now we have this really nice symbiotic relationship where I'm paying this vendor not an arm and a leg. I'm getting literally a team for thousands a month, whereas for thousands a month I would get a low-level marketing director.
Yeah.
And then also I have a really great assistant because I took a long time to train and hire and vet this marketing assistant, and they're almost doing the marketing manager's job. And now it's this perfect coalescence of the vendor and the marketing assistant and then the creator, which is either the founder or maybe the CMO. Or
Yeah, it depends on how much you want to be involved in that process.
Yep.
And the people that we work with now, they want to be involved on the big picture creative level. And
yeah,
their organization has grown to the point where reach a level where you need to scale a bit more.
Yep.
And have someone take care of all of those, personal brand. You have a personal brand, but it's not a personal brand in that you're posting it by hand. Right?
Yes.
It's your ideas, it's your philosophy, it's who you are,
That's
it's your
more
personality,
opinions,
exported,
yes.
On a platform. But, in terms of how it is, and look at like a political candidate, right? So Kamala Harris, right? She probably has some input into some tweets that she levies at Trump or any sort of like issue that she wants to talk about. But like, there's an entire team behind that, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't just have a social media manager that just takes what she said and just throws it up there. That's like an example of something that's a lot more comprehensive in terms of like creatively, like what are we trying to achieve? Who are we trying to reach? Are we trying to take the audience that we have and sort of convert it to a different demo? Are we interested more in people that have this amount of income level or whatever? So it's just coming to realize, are you one of those people that is very, very involved in your brand and very, very involved in your content?
Yep.
And you need someone else to execute it and engage and post it and all that stuff, which is annoying. Cool. That's a social media manager. If you're somebody that is already doing content and they're looking to shake it up, be a little bit more dynamic, what could I do with TikTok? Is Instagram worth it?
Or squeeze the juice out of it, make sure it's going like everywhere it needs to go.
More of a collaboration. We're talking about a project. We're talking about a campaign. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't blame any sort of market factors or any sort of company in particular, but the idea of like a marketing manager and a marketing coordinator has become the horizon for that has broadened so dramatically.
Yeah.
Not
like
to their
it's not their fault either.
It's something that a human being can't even realistically cover. I mean, if you talk about all the tasks that
all that AI,
I guess you could say traditionally, if you'd see like on an Indeed post or whatever, like what is if a role for a marketing coordinator, what tasks are entailing from that? Is it customer service? Is it reacting? Is it posting? Is it shooting video? Is it editing video? Is it editing audio? Is it so it it's gotten. I feel like there's a bit of a what would you call it? Like a bit of an adjustment that we need to do where we
it really is a market adjustment
because digital media is expanding so fast. We're kind of seeing like there's people that like don't know like how long would it take to edit a clip, right? And you could say like I took 2 hours to edit a clip, and somebody that has no experience with a program like that would say, I think you're lying. There's no way that I would spend 2 hours on a clip to isolate it. But it's true. Or even an audio edit or even a video edit.
But that's what you're getting. What you're getting at.
You've got a lot of ignorance and low penetration into the deliverables for marketing,
no doubt,
in a digital marketing space that's been very democratized, where you can get freelancers, all that stuff. Yeah,
that's the best word. Marketing has been completely democratized. There are Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, maybe even Fortune 100 companies who use freelance labor, like they use freelancers because their people can't keep up. Their people can't be sitting there editing a clip for 2 hours
on 5 platforms
on all of the
having
detail.
Respond,
and that's why it's the vendor. We're moving into a vendor market, because a fractional market. It's amazing actually. And here's the thing: your internal is I understand the value, right? Like I understand that there's a lack of, in a sense, control with the vendor side, and hiring vendors they're not going to fix all your problems, right?
You prefer to be internal with your own people for sure.
It's kind of, but also
somebody with a stake in it.
Yes, but why not have the vendor train your people so then you get all the benefit? There's basically no downside.
Keep the people, and they become specialists, whether it's clips, whether it's thumbnails, right? Like this is the stuff that I mean, you and I, with the people that we've worked with, we sit down for 2 or 3 calls, how to make fire YouTube thumbnails based off what we've learned. Like, this is knowledge that is transferable very easily. This is not like
you're so
you need
right,
to
man.
travel,
Yes.
you know, to the far Middle East, and you need to climb a mountain.
Nope.
To this monastery
but
to
it's like
learn the art of clips. I mean,
nope.
we can come in and help your team get, you know, I mean, even just what we've done now, where we've picked out clips and the copy that we would use for that.
Yep.
You emulate that and you're good to go. I mean,
100%.
that's pretty much it. Like,
yes. And if you want to hire us,
more than that.
done for you, or here's and I know we're using podcast principles as an example, as we're using our own company, and that's what we're talking about. But really, just take.
We're biased.
We're biased. But take that and replace it with any vendor, right? But it's bring them in to either do the done for you, or do the training, but don't do the middle ground, right? Either have them train your people and work with your people and do project based, or keep them on for 2 to 3 years so they could actually do something, right?
I mean, think about the freedom where your people can just do what they already know how to do, rather than you having. I mean, like, that's like really the next level. So, like, a lot of people, I think this is like a big takeaway, right? Like, this would be a mic drop if we had some big, gaudy glass bowl that we could throw something into. This would be our mic drop, right? This would be a mic drop moment. So, you know, you could take somebody that is going to like manage it, right? Or you could take somebody that's going to train your team, and then you get an actual content team that knows what to do, rather than you being beholden to vendors. So, like, if you hate hiring outside help, which I do, right? Like, so, like, somebody's coming and is like, oh, I can change your business, let me tell you how. Like, I already have that sort of repulsion towards that, and I understand if some people are like, look, I've been doing this already, I'm making X amount of money, I've left my job. Why, you know, what am I going to come? What am I going to come and tell you? You made this amount of money. People are responding to it. Now pay me this, and I can, you know, take this to the next level. Compared to somebody that's paying pennies on the dollar for that, and is going to manage all of this stuff and take all of your social media management out of your hands. Look, again, all of this comes down to, like, what do you want, right? If you're somebody that's the maestro, and you already know exactly what your brand direction is going into, and you're somebody like Ryan, you're a psychopath like Ryan that loves writing posts, that loves taking clips and just looking at them and what post can I make. I mean, there's people out there like that, right? And the social media manager is perfect for them. But people that have a general idea and they're looking for a collaborative team, again, I'm coloring very, 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 very hard inside the lines here to make my point clear. But yeah, you know, the social media managers, you're just gonna be frustrated with them. I'm sorry. You know, and just as a real quick aside, you know, like, Ivan, we can leave this in or leave this out, but like, you know, this is like a strong stance. Like, you're gonna have that manager, you're gonna pay them, you know, money, and you're gonna save money with that manager, but you're not gonna go anywhere. Like, that's the thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you're looking to iterate on your content and take it to the next level, take it to the next level. You know, do something different with it. Whether it's us or somebody else, like, that's more of a team where there's a collaboration rather than somebody just you know, taking orders. I'll
cap that off with saying your that was great, beautiful, but your competitors are not willing to do this. They are not willing to hire outside help. So if you do that, the second you start, you're already in a different category, because now what you did was you said, hey, we have limiting beliefs about our industry. We think the sales cycle is like this. We think that, oh, our leads aren't on LinkedIn, or, oh my God, it's going to take, the email list won't work because this, or the podcast, there's already so many in that.
I'm already getting frustrated by all these excuses, dude.
So that's really, though, for real.
I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding.
Look, no, but it's true.
It's tough,
true.
Dude. LinkedIn is tough, man.
It's all tough, man.
The algorithm changes all
literally
the
every day, man.
time.
I can tell you every day.
Like, what the fuck? fuck? Like,
Yep,
it's tough,
yep.
man. It really is tough. Like, it's really tough. Like, you have to, like, not only to observe broad trends, like maybe shorter term content, but also absorbing very short term trends, like what's going on with LinkedIn, or maybe if it's not LinkedIn for you, it's Facebook. Like, some of our clients have a big Facebook following, or Instagram or TikTok or what have you. Like, it is tough. We are living in a media environment and a social media environment that is very difficult to adapt to. And it's kind of, like, when you think about it, it's a bit annoying that we don't acknowledge that.
Oh, yeah. Well,
all of us as digital marketers. I mean,
right?
even if you're
it used to be. That's what they thought, though. They thought, oh, when all marketing's digital, there's no guesswork anymore. We now know. We now have all the metrics to know exactly what to post and when to post it and what people want. It's the opposite.
You don't want the number.
No, man.
Yeah.
But that's what they thought. And this is before our generation.
And then come the people that can say, okay, now so you have access to all the numbers. And if you don't like the numbers, I can help the numbers get bigger.
Yep. There you go.
So, that's
But what we didn't talk about that is really the common
But it is
thread.
tough. We get it.
No, 100%. It's really tough. That's why we exist. That's
Holy
why
crap. I mean, like, how long
exist.
did it take you to get to where you are now?
Yeah,
for LinkedIn?
4 years. Yeah, 4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
4 years.
Yeah, and that's when I go into any type. We had a discovery call today, and they're ready to optimize the podcast, but they're like, yeah, can you like help us with our LinkedIn too? I'm like, yeah, I can, but I just want you guys to know, like, I don't do instant. I don't do direct. I don't do, hey, tomorrow it's going to be that. No. This is what I would say really is realistically 12 to 24 month. I wouldn't even say duration. You can just keep going from there. The longer you go, the better it is. But it's a 3 to 6 month ramp up alone, maybe even a 12-month ramp up, meaning just to figure it out. Then after that is really where you start cooking. But now once you are cooking, though, then we're at a 90% close rate.
Which can seem annoying, but look, 6 months passes by so quickly.
It is. It really does. It does. Because life and because business and the cycle of business.
It really does.
What we're talking about that we didn't mention is strategy. That's what your social media manager is not on the hook for. Why are you hiring a vendor if they're not bringing a strategy? And I don't mean a tactic. A tactic is, hey, if you write a comment like this, you'll get this many likes, and then that's a tactic. A strategy is sitting down and answering all the hard questions that you
adapting
and your team,
to what you bring to the table.
Boom. And what you and your team either don't know what questions to ask, or number two, you're just not going to do it. Every single company we've ever worked with, they do not have time. It's hard to even get the time to do the work that we have to do. Right.
You'll see some people flame out just because of the calls and just planning it out, where they say that they don't even have the time.
Yeah.
Again,
we get it.
We're not dunking on these people.
No, that's us too. If I wasn't a marketer or a salesperson, I wouldn't do any of that. I wouldn't have time for it either.
Here we are on a Friday.
Yep. Yeah, actually, why don't we give them a
fielding text messages from my girlfriend. This is part of it, right? There's time to be spent.
Yeah, but it's real life, man.
But we understand, if there's some people that look at, like, we are in the maraschino cherry business. That's what I always say,
the best analogy.
It is extras. It's extras. I mean, podcasting is extra. But it is also the best way to explore your personality, to explore your philosophy for business, finance, whatever it may be, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's just no other better way to do it. And there's just no other better way that your leads are going to digest it. It's not going to be through text. It's just going to, imagine like trying to throw water into the Atlantic Ocean, it's not going to stand out.
Nope.
It's just not going to stand out. So
in.
More broadly with like the PLA clients, even with the promotional posts that we do, like once you kind of know how to take a clip and like write the copy with it, I mean, fuck, I'm really like underselling like what we,
I know,
or I'm really like kind of like undercutting us because, to be honest, it's like once you get the feeling for it, like, okay, like I'll say this, all right, you guys get ready. If you filmed 3 podcast episodes, let's say for ease, a movie about or a podcast about movies, right? Each episode you're going to review a movie. You could get clips from that, let's say it's like 30 minutes or whatever. You could get clips from that, like 3 or 4 clips from each episode. And I could, or I could get clips from that episode and show you what I would do, and you would be set after that. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
And then past that, you would develop your own copy, and you would get better at it, and you would look at your own, okay, here's what he picked out. All right, so it needs to kind of start at a point where, the thing that I think is very unique about this movie, oh, okay, that's where he...
Contextual.
It's stuff like that, like it really is a feeling thing. It's like playing pickleball or anything else, right? Like, or tennis, where you just start to get that muscle memory for clips. So like a big part of it too is just like, look, if you can just show people like how they could, grab these clips and then make posts out of them, like after that, their team's good to go.
Yes, yeah. But you also don't think, we rarely think about all the things that we've spent so much time on that are second nature to us now.
Yeah.
That are not, that people just don't know how to do, right?
But and look, real quick, not to interrupt too hard, right? But like, it's not like we're saying, oh, clip art, right?
Yeah.
But like the idea of like grabbing clips from, let's say, like an hour-long podcast or whatever, that like it's not super difficult, but it is something that you develop a touch for. If you do it for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever, it's going to get more attuned to, you can listen, be washing dishes. Right? And they go like, the thing about that is like, oh, okay, and I need to tune in right now. It's that little turn. And if anybody else is watching this that has their own podcast that grabs their own clips, that maybe that resonates with you. I hope it does, right?
Yeah.
But it really is something where it's like, we're taking teams where we're saying like, hey, here's like 3 episodes and here's like 10 clips that I would take out of this. And then they just follow that framework, and they're pretty much good to go. Yeah, so that's that training it's not really training. It's a Spartan training. It's just really taking examples of what works and how to do it, and then just giving them the runway to experience for themselves and get better at executing it, I guess is the best way to say it.
And that is perfect, because that is one of 50 things that you can improve about your podcast, your content, your marketing. So that's why, we're not, this isn't Spartan training for podcast
but it's also
clips.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not Spartan training for podcast clip, but that's one that we've spent, I mean, what?
Thumbnails.
I was going to say,
we've
coached, we've done hours just on the description. Right? So it's like, there's so many moving parts, static parts, moving parts in transition. It's just, there's so many pieces of that equation. And sure, you can have a marketing manager even who gets really good at pulling clips. But then what about the audio side? But then what about the SEO?
What do you do with that?
Then what about and so when you get into but now what do I do? Here we are. Right? Like, we're on the hook for the system and the strategy.
Yeah.
So we know how to systematically start to improve one thing at a time. Clips will be just one of them. And that's what your manager is not on the hook for. That's what your VA is not on the hook for. That's really what the founder shouldn't even be on the hook for, is how to roll this out in a systematic way.
Dude, what are we trying to do? Make founders kill themselves?
Yeah, I mean, for real, man.
My goodness. There's so much that they need to do, right? Yep. When founders begin to get help, for posting or, whether it's a VA or whatever, typically, those founders are already very, or spread very, very thin.
Yeah.
Right? And you can, go ahead and look into that camera for me.
I'm spread very, very thin.
So you are a founder, right? So you can attest to this, that like, and we even spoke to this Shout out Jared. If
Shout
you
out Jared,
watch
man.
this for the Launchpad
And
Q&A,
team, and team.
we talked about founders having, just a very poor concept for, having boundaries for work, right? And having, and what's acceptable for, I should keep, should I send that next email and that next email?
You know what
and
I was
that
going to
next
say too is
should I cut it off at 5? So setting
Yeah.
boundaries, I guess, just for the audience to understand. But that's difficult for founders, and sort of like when, I feel bad because when they start to get help initially, I feel like a lot of these people take advantage of the fact that, like, okay, you need help, you need such a release from the 50,000 tasks. I can take 10,000 of them away from you, and you're just so your girlfriend hates you, or your family, there are stressors,
happens,
right?
folks.
So, but I'm saying, like, not to be dramatic, right? But, like, being a founder, solopreneur, entrepreneur, there is, especially stateside, there is, like, a very accepted, like, level of sort of, what would you call it? Pain or shit that you have to eat,
Yeah, but what it really is you're supposed.
But when you
to
first get help,
somehow-
I'm saying
Yes,
that's when you're
yes.
like most vulnerable to take help that doesn't really like do anything for your.
Again, it's pain, right? It's like when you're not choosing the doctor when
And
you're
it does
bleeding
release
out.
the time issue,
Yeah.
right? Like, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so that's cool. But that's what we're saying, right?
When you're
is that-
bleeding out, you don't get to choose you don't go, I'm about to die, I'm bleeding out, but I don't want that doctor, I want this one. You don't have time to choose the strategy.
And most people don't want to write their stuff anymore, too. So, like,
100%.
a social media manager, that's like a big thing, is like a social media manager is not going to write your post for you, is not going to, like,
Well, they
iterate
will,
on-
but they're not going to be.
Yeah, but-
they're not going to have that top. No, I'm saying, like,
After
they're
ChatGPT,
tasked
you're-
to do
yeah.
it, but then it sounds like ChatGPT. So, and
Yeah.
everybody knows what you can read anything and know that it's made
you can
in
start to
ChatGPT.
feel it now.
Oh, 100%. We all have
which
that
for
sixth
better or
sense
for
it now.
worse, right? Like, but yeah, you
But
can
for
start
sure.
to feel it
But
now.
when you start to get that help, man, it really, what it does is the goal. I mean, listen, what do people say after they hire a great vendor or a great firm to come in and help them, or a great coach or consultant? What do they say? They go, "Oh, thank you. I didn't know what to do, when to do it. Like, I just didn't have a system, so thank you," right?
Yeah.
That's the response that every person gives to any great coach or consultant, right? Like, they whatever that problem it was that you had, they let you just breathe out and go, oh, okay, it's not that bad. There's a way that we can attack this.
Yeah. Look at Genghis Khan. Not Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan. Okay? Every great leader, every great brand, every great business has an amazing team behind them. Seriously, all joking aside.
No, 100%.
And I know that the setup is like, yeah, I'm around, right? Self-censorship, kind of sick. Shout out to Ivan. But yeah, seriously, having a good team, having specialists, having people that are going to really, really excel in these areas that you just don't have the time to get involved in. There are so many people that are so smart when it comes to where you need to put your money, how to buy a house.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it goes on and on, what you need to do, like setting up an estate, all these specialists, and they want to get involved in how am I going to audio edit? How am I going to video edit? How am I going to, it's not necessary.
Nope.
So I am saying this one thing, you get to a point where, look, you're going to need to have a team.
Yep.
There's going to be people that are going to say that they're going to have to, that they can manage it the way that you would like. But really, you need people to execute that stuff.
Yep.
Not have one person that's going to have, that's going to handle the clips. The reels, that's going to handle your TikTok, that's going to put clips up on LinkedIn. It's just not going to happen. It just doesn't really exist.
Yep.
So you'll see a lot of these packages maybe for $1,500, $2,000 a month or whatever, and we're going to post on 5 different platforms and all that stuff. And we're gonna do short form clips. Mm-hmm. We're also going to do your audio editing. We're also going to do your video editing. We're going to do this. The more they list, the less quality usually we find you're going to receive.
And
so
that directly correlates to how somebody is judging you and your brand and how somebody's if somebody's going to work with you.
Yeah. So like the idea, right, is for you to say, I'm going to throw up the ball.
Yep.
Right. And then somebody else is going to catch it for a touchdown. So if you throw it up and you have to check to see if it's at, what is really, so like the idea of getting to the next level and pawning off annoying, that's what it is. Annoying, repetitive task, a follow-up email, right? After a discovery call.
Boom.
Okay? Like, if you're doing a good enough job and you're doing enough discovery calls, you should be annoyed by those follow-up emails.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You should have a template that you got to fill out at the very least, right?
Yeah.
Or at the very best, you can have somebody that can send it for you.
Yeah.
100%. So, like getting to that level, but doing it intelligently, I think is really important. Where it's like, look, you're gonna have maybe a couple hour-long meetings a month with some really smart people, and you're just gonna see the numbers go up and up and up and up and up and up.
It is.
You're not gonna say, oh, okay, here's these clips you're gonna throw up, and I got 60 views on TikTok. And, I got a couple likes on Instagram, and I got 4 likes on LinkedIn, and I got 2 people that I tagged in the post that commented on it. That's not what it's going to be like. It's going to be somebody that's looking to, like, how can I get these numbers up?
Yep.
How can I make your brand better? Right?
One thing at a time.
I mean, that's the best thing. So, a lot of these guys, they're very desperate to get to the point where they can start to pawn off these tasks, but it's sort of like a red herring, right? Where you want to get rid of it, but like relinquishing the control in terms of creatively shouldn't be released, but in terms of the execution and actually how it gets created, and that's
finalized.
Yeah, exactly. For
you
sure.
Got it. Hey, it's quality in, quality out, right? If you want the major headline, is you need somebody who knows what the hell they're doing to actually be the face or the person talking or delivering the actual expertise. And then from there, you have somebody who takes that really high quality content and then distributes it in different ways, right? But you don't, if you mess up in that beginning stage, that's when we see that what I would call commoditized content, right? And this is the war on commoditized content, and that's a great way to wrap it up. To everybody out there, Jack, the boy, the homie, thank you so much for doing this. This is the war on commoditized content. Appreciate everybody there at home. As you know, we have the Launchpad. That is our group coaching program for podcasters, and if you DM me, let me know. Just send me a DM that says Launchpad. I would love to send you the details. This is Podcast Principles. Ryan Sullivan, Jack Gallagher. Catch you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Peace. Thanks so much for listening.
Boom.